Ah, there's that keeper. I've been looking for this one. I got married in this one.
So it's an important one to hold on.
This one's an important one. This one I just bought in Jerusalem on the street.
That's cool, I guess.
But here's the funny thing. I have one that looks very similar to this one. The purple's a little bit darker though.
Okay.
And they're wearing that. This isn't American. This is the one just in case you lose them.
It's like I have my yeah, but it's kind of been drowned out in the lakes. It was more green.
Yep.
Half of it is now red. And half of it is mostly because it was folded in half on my windowsill for a while.
This one used to have a much darker purple, and now it's like, oh yeah, there's a hint of purple.
We're live. Purple.
Yeah. What's that? We're live. Oh, great.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I'm happy. You know why? Because last week I was on the bima by myself, and now this week we welcome Joe back. Adam's here tonight as well, and that makes me happy. It enhances our celebration of Shabbat, and we continue with the welcome of Shabbat with the Lecha Dodi on page 20.
Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Yikra Shabbat,
לכו ונלכה,
כי מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נזוזותה, סוף מעשה במחשבת הקהילה.
לך אדוני, לה 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 לקראת כלה, לה 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 בני שבת, בני שבת נקבלה. La 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 לך אדוני, la 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 לקראת כלה, la 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 בני שבת, בני שבת נקבלה. Please rise.
בואי ושלום,
עצרת פעלה,
בשמחה וצולה, תוך אמונה הסגולה, בואי קלה, בואי קלה. La 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 לך אדוני, la 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 לקראת כלה, la 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 בני שבת, בני שבת נקבל, la 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 לך אדוני, la 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 לקראת כלה, la 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 בני שבת.
Page 29, there is one who sings the song of his own life, finding everything within himself. There is one who leaves the circle of herself and sings the song of her people. There is one whose voice rings with the song of humanity, hoping for the highest perfection. And there is one who rises even higher, uniting with all creatures, with all worlds, filling the universe with song, Nivarech. Let us bless the Baruch Hu.
Amen.
Please be seated. Let's read together on page 31. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv ha'ravim. From the world around us to the world within us, Ahavat Olam, page 32. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael,
Otanu limadeta, Otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shochenu, ukumenu nasiach le'ukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגי יומם ולילה, נגי יומם ולילה.
Let's join together in the Shema and the Ahavta.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu,
Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בהם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשופך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Last week, the Torah portion gave us the critical moment of the Exodus, the crossing of the sea. And the next prayer, the Micha Mocha, is taken from last week's portion. This week's Torah portion is equally epic. It's the revelation at Mount Sinai, the Ten Commandments. So back to back, arguably the two most important Torah portions of the entire Torah, the Exodus and the revelation at Sinai. But in the short span of 40 days or so between those two events, a lot happens, and the feeling of thanks and gratitude and wonder and amazement and awe during the Exodus, wow, does that fade quickly? I mean, the very next episode in the Torah is the people complaining to Moses, we don't have enough water. And then the next incident after that is we don't have enough food. Now, these were real concerns, but the people started to grumble and mumble and think about whether they should have experienced all this so quickly. So trying to institutionalize and remember that joyous moment of liberation becomes a constant challenge for our ancestors, and for us. We tend to forget that because of the exigencies of the moment, the problems we face every day. And if you're a politician, you know that often the people say, what have you done for me today? They forget what you may have done yesterday as well. So one way that Jewish prayer keeps us alive to that moment of liberation is by singing the words of the Micha Mocha every week, not just at Passover, not just once or twice a year, because we're not supposed to forget the possibility and the exaltation of liberation. Micha Mocha on page 40.
Elim Adonai, Michamocha Bedar Bakodesh, Norategi Rosefele, Norategi Rosefele. Malakot Karau Anecha, Okei Ayavik Moshe Miriam, Zelian.
Adonai Lo Leolam Vaed, Adonai Lo Leolam Vaed.
ונאמר כבן אדוני יעקב וגלו מיחזק ממנו Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael.
Page 42. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace, and raise us up our guardian to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Lishalom Amitenu Shoreinu Lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Lishalom Amitenu Shoreinu Lechaim. When I lay down at night, when I rest my head, oh God, watch over me. And when the morning comes, we thank the Holy One and pray for peace. One day,
One day,
one day,
one day,
one day, one day,
one day, one day,
one day,
one day, one day,
one day, one day,
one day,
one day, Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Lishalom V'hamitenu Shoreinu Lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Lishalom V'hamitenu Shoreinu Lechaim. Uferos aleinu sukat shlomecha, Baruch atah Adonai, Haborei sukat shalom aleinu v'kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
Page 44. The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages as a covenant for all time.
Ve'shamru b'nei Yisrael et haShabbat,
Lasot et
haShabbat l'Torah v'mitorah. Ve'shamru b'nei Yisrael et haShabbat, Lasot et haShabbat l'Torah v'mitorah. Beini uvein bnei Yisrael, odi leolam, odi leolam. Veshameru bnei Yisrael et haShabbat, Lasot et haShabbat l'Torah v'mitorah. Ki shesh jamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Veshamru bnei Yisrael et haShabbat, Lasot et haShabbat l'Torah v'mitorah. Vayom hashvi Shabbat v'yinafash, Shabbat v'yinafash, Shabbat v'yinafash. Veshamru bnei Yisrael et haShabbat, Lasot et haShabbat l'Torah v'mitorah. Veshameru bnei Yisrael et haShabbat, Lasot et haShabbat l'Torah ברית עולם.
We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. For the Tefillah Amidah prayer, page 46, we rise. Please be seated. On page 57, you are with us in our prayer, our love and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. Together, there may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadecha bir'ah na'avod. Shalom Rav, the prayer of great peace that concludes this section of the Tefillah Amidah, page 60.
Shalom Rav, Yisrael Hamka, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. כי אתה הוא מלך אדום לכל השלום. כי אתה הוא מלך אדום לכל השלום. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. וטוב ביתך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
Now, at the end of the Amidah prayer, our thoughts turn to those of our loved ones and all those in need of healing. You know, before the service this evening, I saw a segment on the news, an interview with a young mother who was held hostage in Gaza with her 5-year-old daughter. And they actually showed the endless tunnel in the dungeon with no light, barely any air, where day after day they sat for 36 days before they were released. And I saw a picture of a Hamas propaganda video that showed this young mother during her captivity, and then the interview from Israel yesterday, and you could hardly recognize the two people. And she spoke about what challenges have been for the 5-year-old just to reintegrate again into classroom and home and classroom. We continue to think every week as we say the Mishaberach prayer of the 136 approximately souls who continue to be held in captivity as hostages. We continue to think of the IDF soldiers, some of whom are directly related to or friends of families in this congregation. With them and those that we call to mind personally for healing, we join in the healing prayer for healing of body and the healing of soul.
Bless the ones before those in need of healing, with refuah shelema, renewal of body, renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
For those who are held in slavery, physical bondage, liberation of the body is crucial. For those who may be enslaved to emotional forces, liberation of the soul is crucial. We pause now for a moment of silent prayer, thinking about how we can be lifted up and liberated from certain things in our lives which weigh us down. We pause.
Say shalom, Imroma, Huya say shalom, Aleinu, Ve'al kol Yisrael, Ve'imeru, Amen. Oh, say shalom, Imroma, Huya say shalom, Aleinu, Ve'al kol Yisrael, Ve'imeru, Amen. Oh, say shalom, Imroma, oh, yeah, say shalom, Aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru, Amen. Oh, say shalom, Imroma, Huya, say shalom, Aleinu, Ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru, Amen.
Now, you would think that the name of this week's Torah portion should be maybe the Ten Commandments, because the Ten Commandments are given in this portion. Or you might think that the name should be the Revelation at Mount Sinai, because it's the second of the two epic events that I mentioned earlier. But no, the name of this Torah portion is Jethro. The name of the portion is Jethro, or Yitro in Hebrew. What's that about? The names of Torah portions in the Jewish tradition are taken from the first significant word or the first significant topic in the Torah portion. And so we have this fascinating interlude between the Exodus from Sinai and the Exodus from Egypt and the revelation at Mount Sinai. I told you with some mumbling and grumbling, but we have an entire chapter which opens up our portion, chapter 18 of the book of Exodus, about Jethro, about a person and his interaction with the family. And if you ask most people who's Jethro, of a certain age, they'll say he was one of the Beverly Hillbillies. Or they'll talk about Jethro Tull, the musician of a certain age. But we're not talking about either of them. We're talking about Moses' father-in-law. Not father, father-in-law. Now, this is interesting. Moses was born and had a biological father whose name almost nobody knows because he plays no role in Moses' life.
Yeah.
His name was?
I don't remember. When you said, I was just like, what is this?
Yeah, Amram. He's a Levite. But you see, we don't know anything about him, nothing. And he's mentioned in a genealogy, and that's it. Because Moses was taken away. He was raised, ironically enough, in the court of Pharaoh by Pharaoh's daughter, whose name we don't even know. She's called Pharaoh's daughter, Bat Pharaoh. So his adopted father, Pharaoh, did he even know who Moses was? He had so many wives and so many children, and he was the Pharaoh. So there may have been some interaction, but Moses really doesn't have that as a father either. So when he escapes to the desert and helps some Midianite woman at the well, and spots one in particular named Zipporah, who is Midianite, but has this Hebrew name, which is a little inconsistent, he eventually falls in love and asks to marry her. And her father is a Midianite priest out there in the desert with the Midianite tribe named Jethro. And we actually learn more about the father-in-law than Moses' fathers. He becomes a father figure. That's one of three roles in this chapter that reveals so much about him. And this is special because how often do in-laws get good press? Positive things. We know the challenges that we have with in-laws, right? But in this case, this is a very positive force in Moses' life. And as I suggested, a father figure. What we're also going to see is that he's a wise man. He's truly a wise man. It's a very positive portrait of a righteous Gentile, someone who's clearly not Jewish, but in a sense casts his lot with his son-in-law, who he senses is destined to do great things. Now, when Moses, who has two sons, goes back to meet his brother and then on to confront Pharaoh, does he take his family? No, he does not. The Torah specifically says he leaves behind with his father-in-law, his wife, and his two sons. And he's gone a long time, and he's already advanced in years. So in this week's portion, we have this poignant scene of Yitro bringing Zipporah and bringing the two young boys out to see their father and husband, who they have not seen in years. And there's a reunion of sort. Jethro, priest of Midian, Moses' father-in-law, heard all that God had done for Moses and for Israel, his people, how the Lord had brought Israel out of the land of Egypt. So Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took Zipporah, Moses' wife, after she had been sent home, and her 2 sons, of one whose name was Gershon, that is to say, I have been a stranger in a strange land, and the other was named Eliezer, meaning, the God of my father was my help, and he delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh. Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, brought Moses' sons and wife to him in the wilderness, where he was encamped before the mountain of God. He sent word to Moses, I, your father-in-law, am coming to you with your wife and 2 sons. Moses went out to meet his father-in-law. He bowed low and kissed him, and each asked after the other's welfare, and they went together into the tent. So it's this beautiful description of the meeting once again. Jethro, who's a spiritual leader, a Midianite priest, then speaks about how grateful he is to the God of the Hebrews, it's not his God, to the God of the Hebrews for extending this liberation and kindness to Moses and to his people. There's deep respect for these people. At other times in their long history, Midian and Israel will not get along. But here there seems to be at least this interlude of amicable relationships. And Jethro says, now I know that God is greater than all the gods by the results of their very schemes against the people. And Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, brought a burnt offering and sacrifices for God, the God of the Hebrews. Rather extraordinary, but he's not done helping his family, his extended family. The next portion, the next part of the chapter, Jethro observes Moses sitting day and night, listening to the people and judging their problems. He sees his son-in-law struggling with the burden of leading the Israelites with all their complaints and all their problems. And he takes him aside and says, son, you can't go on like this. He doesn't quite say this, but what he's implying is you're going to burn out. You're going to lose the ability to lead. You're not taking care of yourself. You're not eating right. You're not drinking. You're not doing that. And you're the leader, but you can't do it all yourself. He gives Moses, I said he's a wise man, a piece of wisdom. He says, why don't you appoint magistrates and judges underneath you for all the different tribes? And why don't you save for yourself the most important cases? And believe it or not, this son-in-law listens to his father-in-law. Moses heeded his father-in-law and did just as he had said. Moses chose capable men out of all Israel and appointed them as heads over the people, chiefs of thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens, and they judged the people at all times. The difficult matters they would bring to Moses, and all minor matters they would decide themselves. Then Moses bade his father-in-law farewell, and he went his way toward his own land. We won't hear anything more about Jethro, but this crucial point, you can't do it all yourself. You need to delegate. You need to work cooperatively, proved to be an invaluable lesson. So I think Jethro deserves a Torah portion in his name. He was a great father-in-law who helped take care of Moses' wife and children, gave deep respect and support to Moses at a critical moment. We'll talk about the Ten Commandments and the revelation at Sinai, but the Torah has this inimitable way of giving you these small pastoral family moments in between the epic events that is the totality of our life experiences. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
As we open the ark for the Aleinu, the bottom of page 282. Please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גאולה מיוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא צמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתתפים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שכונות השמיים מיוסד הארץ ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום להשב אותה אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחתנו עוד, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
On this Shabbat, we now call to mind in love and reverence the Yortzeit, the anniversary of passing of Sigmund Rosenholz, grandfather of Bill Ziegler, Martha Seymour, mother of Michael Seymour, Manny Beckerman, father of Eric Beckerman, Frida Roberg, mother of Kurt Roberg. For all those close to our hearts, for all those for whom there may be no one to say Kaddish, we join in the Kaddish prayer on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba be'al divra yuzkei yamich malkutei v'chayevchon u'vyomechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael B'agala u'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevarach le'olam olamei almaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar roman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudisha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata shbechata v'nechamata da'amiran le'omal v'yimru Amen. Yehi shlama rama min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. Osei shalom b'imromav Aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. Amen. Please be seated. Michael.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Rabbi. Speaking of in-laws, I had wonderful in-laws, so sometimes you're very, very lucky. And thank you, student Cantor Flaxman and Adam. Beautiful service as always. It was a delight. We have two. It's an amazing, a small congregation like ours to have something like this. It's great. And Adam, I want to introduce as one of the world's newest jugglers. He was fantastic, and I understand you're practicing 8 hours a day now. Good. That's good. And I want to welcome back Barbara. We missed you last week, and you brighten our Shabbat every week. Torah study resumes tomorrow with a discussion of the revelation of the Ten Commandments. It should be a lively discussion. As George Collins said, why not 11? Why not 12? 10. It was a nice round number. Religious school will be in session Sunday as usual. Big announcement is that Sally and Michael Seymour, world travelers, indeed will be talking about their recent trip to Morocco and share many of their photos this Sunday at 10 a.m. Refreshments will be served, including al-barak, a special Moroccan dish. I think I pronounced that correctly.
And
Yeah.
halva.
And halava.
And baklava.
Baklava. So come and it'll be great. Their talk will include a look at the history of the historic Jewish communities of Fez and Marrakesh. It's a very interesting community, and Jews had a very interesting relationship with Morocco.
A huge number of Israelis have Moroccan ancestry. Very big community that made Aliyah.
Did Maimonides go to Morocco for a while?
For a brief time.
For a brief time, he lived there. The Emuno book club is reading Leaving Eastern Parkway by Matthew Daub, and the book club is meeting on Monday, March 11th. Plenty of time to read the book. The book concerns a 15-year-old Hasidic boy whose life is upended when his parents suddenly die, and the book is by a first-time novelist, and it's received excellent reviews. Our Social Action Committee, led by Annette DeMarco, is continuing its Super Bowl food drive. We're collecting non-perishable soups between now and February 11th, the date of some football game. We are still collecting diapers, sizes 4, 5, and 6. Next week's Shabbat service will honor our Social Action Committee and also look to get more people involved in our fantastic social action activities. Tonight's Oneg is sponsored by Michael and Sally Seymour, and we thank Dylan, as always, for live streaming tonight's service. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Should we give a page number for it?
Sure.
Our closing Shabbat song is a Sephardic classic, actually, and it's Ki Eshmera Shabbat. If you'd like to follow along in the words, it's a relatively short song. It's on page 330. When I keep Shabbat, God keeps me. It is a sign forever between God and me.
Eshmera Shabbat, Yishmereni, Ki Eshmera Shabbat, Yishmereni, Oti Leonia, Eno Uveini, Oti Eshmera Shabbat.